Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I first and foremost would like to say I am so sorry for putting this video up later than I said I would. I don't know if you can hear it in my voice, but I recently got sick and have been kind of glued to my bed and unable to do anything. But I am back now and I am here with part 2 of my 2-part video about the basic strokes necessary to start in brush lettering. If you haven't seen part 1, I suggest you do that first, then come back here, because I will be continuing and building upon the stuff I talked about in the last video, so we can continue in this one with learning how to form letters and connecting those letters to make words. So I will try to link part 1 in the description or put it somewhere up there if I can figure out how to do that. And without further ado, let's go. So first, let's talk about a couple of things you will need. First, you will need a brush pen in the size and style and color of your choice. Today I am using the Tombow ABT dual brush pen in the color black. The dual brush pen has a large brush tip on one side and a finer felt tip on the other side. If you know anything about brush lettering at all, it is very likely that you've heard about this company and their products. I personally am a big fan. I don't know if you remember, but in the last video, I was using their Funosuke brush pen, which has a smaller tip than the dual brush, but works just the same, except gives you smaller letters and strokes. So the next thing, also from Tombow, for me personally at least, is these lettering sheets. These are very useful, very helpful. When first learning, all you do is trace over the grayed out parts after looking at what the stroke is supposed to be like, and then you get free space to keep practicing your letters. But I will get more into those later. Lastly, you will need some blank paper. I recommend thicker paper. I'm using cardstock. Just a thick, smooth paper is good for this because you want to avoid having your pen bleed through thin, regular letter paper. And also you want the paper to be nice and smooth so you avoid fraying the tip. So now that we know everything that you're going to need, let's start lettering. So once again, I suggest getting started by just grabbing one of your blank pieces of paper and your pen and just starting to do some basic strokes just to get a feel for it. If you recall from the last video, you're supposed to use lighter pressure on the upstroke and a harder pressure on the downstroke, which gives you those nice line variations that are a staple in brush lettering. You should also remember that you should always be holding your pen at a 45-degree angle because that is the best way to get line variation and to avoid doing any damage to the tip of your pen, because that damage would be caused by holding it straight down and trying to letter like that. As you can see, the tip of my pen bent a little bit, but it's okay because it can bounce back just like that. So remember, light on the upstroke, heavy on the downstroke. That's how you get your line variation, and without being able to do that, you can't make any of your letters. So, as I did in the last video, I suggest you pause this video for a moment and just re-familiarize yourself with those basic strokes that we talked about and just get a feel for using your pen before we continue. So now that you've had a moment to familiarize yourself with your pen and using it, I'm going to put my blank piece of paper away and pull out these lettering practice worksheets that I got directly off of the Tombow website. This one will be linked in the description, just like I did with the last video, along with the link for the one for, let me find it. Here we go. The lettering sheets for the Funosuke brush pens, which, like I mentioned before, have a smaller tip than the dual. So now that we have our lettering sheets out, you're going to grab your pen and just start to familiarize yourself. So remember, you're supposed to look at the way the stroke is. So this one, since it has a thicker line, we can recognize that it's a downstroke and know that you're supposed to apply a harder pressure when you trace over the gray. You don't want to press too hard or else you will bend your tip, Luckily, it will bounce back, but after a while, if you bend it too much, the pen will get soft and it'll be harder to have control over your lettering for those nice, crisp lines, thick lines, and thin lines. The softer your tip gets, the harder it is to differentiate between the two. So, you just want to use these sheets to your strength, and you just want to practice your upstrokes and downstrokes. As you can see, I'm not getting as thick of a line as that one, probably because this is a new pen and I was holding it a little too upright. So as you see, I shifted my angle a little bit more, applied a little bit more pressure, and now my lines are slowly getting thicker and thicker. And you want to do the same thing for the thinner. So since these are thin strokes, we know that they are upstrokes, and you should be applying minimal pressure. Upstrokes like these are a little hard because your pen might want to, if your hand isn't steady, you might start wiggling and getting some wobbly lines, but it just takes a little bit of practice, patience, and control, and eventually you will get some nice, clean lines. Like even after a couple years of practice, I'm still getting some not totally straight lines. They're still wobbling a little bit, but that's okay because when you're making letters and words, it doesn't always make the biggest difference. Okay, so we're gonna switch gears a little bit because I went over these basic strokes in my last video. Like I said, I suggest you watch that one if you haven't already. Click out of this one, go watch part 1, and then come back and continue with me. So, we've been over the basic strokes, so I'm just gonna put that one to the side and get started on these letters. Now, sometimes the letters may look a little bit intimidating because of how fancy they can be, but trust me, it's no more than just a couple of strokes connected and basic cursive. Cursive that we learned in elementary school if you did, or in middle school, or even if you didn't learn cursive at all, don't worry, it's fine. It just really just takes a little bit of practice and you'll get going. So, the main thing to remember when you're doing letters is to just keep remembering upstroke versus downstroke, upstroke versus downstroke, upstroke versus downstroke. Now, I will take the liberty of using the felt tip side of my pen, and I suggest that you guys do this as well, and just drawing some arrows on these so we know which are downstrokes and which are upstrokes if you can't recognize them easily yourself. Just so you know when to apply pressure and when to not apply as much pressure. Trust me, it makes the whole process a lot easier. So yes, I suggest you take a minute. I'm going to do that for all these letters right here, and I will be right back. Okay, so now I'm back. I've drawn all my arrows, as you can see, so that I know which way to go. And don't fret too much about recognizing which stroke is an upstroke and downstroke, because in all honesty, when you're making your letters, your pen will go in a natural up and down pattern that once you just remember when you apply pressure and when you don't, it starts to become a lot easier. So, when you're making your letters, when you trace your sheet, you just need to remember, as I've continuously said, up versus down. That's all you need to know. Pressure versus no pressure. And once you get that, it's easy breezy. So I'm going to start by tracing this A. I see that there's a thin line there, and I look over my arrows, and that is indeed an upstroke. So I'm going to apply minimal pressure, and then notice my pen is changing direction, and I know that from there, I start to go down. So what do? I apply more pressure. My pen's going back up again, just lift a little bit off the paper, and complete that. That right there was one of our basic strokes, the O shape. It's just up, down, and back up again. That's all there is to it. And then we finish the tail of the A with a downstroke and a little flick of our pen up. Again, another one of our basic strokes. Just one of these thick lines, but a little shorter and a little curvier. That's all it is. It's just basic strokes being connected to each other. So once again, we're going to do the A again. Light on the up, heavier when your pen changes direction, release, finish the O, and then just nice after it. And then we have the line, just practice doing that. And the good thing about learning is that not everything has to be in the exact same style. Not every letter not every press. Again, it's are all different, and all from this program on some sheet. That's so you guys actually have to go to a different style, and once you get a feel for press, you build your own style as well. So now that I've done my line of A's, we're gonna go ahead with the B. Same thing. This is a thin line, so we know that it's an upstroke and you're supposed to apply minimal pressure. My pen changes direction, so I know my next stroke is going to be down. When I go down, I apply more pressure to get a nice thick line. That one wasn't all the way full, my bad. And then once again, we're going up. Pen is changing direction, apply more pressure and go down, and flick. That's all there is to it. Then just a thin line, but pretty. A thin line, a thin curve. And the thin line, and the thin line, and flick. All the things I use, you have fun, good. Thin line, so you have changing direction. You currently have those. Once you know all of these, the rest of this, we said a million times, it's super easy. That's why this is, your basic strokes and your pressure, and because we all have everything else, yeah. So I'm gonna focus on these. So up, down, up, down, up, down. So I'm going to stop here, and switch to no blank paper. If you have other sheets to you already, feel free to pause the video again, and just take some time to familiarize yourself with these letters. Okay, so now I am back with a blank piece of paper, and I'm just going to quickly go over the formation of all the letters so we can get started just freehanding with some of those and even start writing some words. So, A, you're going to basically make an O, so light on the up, heavy on the down, come back up and connect it, and do a heavy downstroke, okay? B, you're going to do a light curve up, heavy stroke down, light back up, heavy on the down, and flick your pen. That's a B. C, super simple. Light on the up, heavy on the down, and back up. C. D is basically the same thing as B, but backwards. Light on the up, heavy on the down, lighting the up, once again making that O shape that we used for our letter A. Then you're going to do a little stemming from the tip of the O. You're going to do another light upstroke, just like we did when we started our B. Change direction of your pen, do a heavy downstroke, and flick it back up. That's your D. E, you're going to do a pretty much horizontal upstroke. I say pretty much horizontal, but it's not going to be directly horizontal, but it's also not going to be as steep as some of these other upstrokes that we have here. So you're going to do your upstroke, change direction of your pen. Notice, still going up here. That is still going up, even though you're slowly getting a less positive angle. You're going to go all the way up, come back down, and lift your pen. E. F is going to start just like the B did, with one of those curves up, heavy stroke down, except you're going to keep going down, come back up, connect it, and release. That's your F. G is going to start like the A and the D with another one of those O shapes, so light up, down, up, and connect it. Then you're going to do a downstroke, go all the way down, and come back up. So that's your G. H, start just like your B and your F with another one of those curvy upstrokes. Heavy on the down, you're going to do another upstroke, once again, just like with the B. Go up, heavy down, and release. Just like that. I, super simple, just I. Just downstroke, dot it. J, just like the I, but a little bit longer. Downstroke, up, cross. That's your J. For your K, people like to do their Ks a lot of different ways. I personally like to start just like with the B and the F and the H, with one of these, up, down, lift up your pen, do light upstroke, and do a downstroke, just like that. But some people I know also like to write their Ks like
Okay,
this.
so now I'm just going to briefly talk about how you make
Go
words.
back up.
The most important thing to remember is that a word is just all these
Or
letters
even some people
connected
just
by
go
a very thin line.
down.
Like, look, between the W and the O.
down.
So the
So
W,
it really just
right,
depends on
we
your personal
established
style.
ends
Like
here.
I said, I
Let
do
me use
it
another piece
that
of paper
way, but I know
to block
people who
these
do
things
it that
off.
way.
So
And less
the letter
commonly, it's
W
still done that
ends
way.
here,
So it's
right?
really all up
And
to
the
you.
letter O
So now
begins
L,
here.
just like the B, F, and E.
All I did was
You're
just
gonna go
finish that
up
very thin line and
come
start
back
with my O downstroke
That's your
that connected to the end of the W.
M.
Then we've
We're
got
going
the
to
O.
do
The
like
O ends there. The R
down,
starts with a downstroke.
up,
At least in my case
down,
it does. When
one
I'm
more
writing
up,
words, I don't even do an
and one
upstroke
more
on my
down.
letter R.
That's
So
really
the R
all there
starts
is.
there.
It's just like this
The
shape
O
that
ends
we
there.
made in our original.
As you can see, all I did was just
stroke
start my
basics video,
downstroke and connect
just
it to
slightly
the
more
end of that O.
refined.
The end of the
M,
R
same
goes
thing,
here.
You're just gonna go
Letter D
up,
also starts with a downstroke.
down,
So I just connected it to the
and
upstroke
down.
from the
So
R,
it's just like the M, but with
wrote
one
my
less
letter
curve.
D, and finished it
Okay.
off. S starts
Oh,
up,
We
down.
already basically
Obviously,
know how to
I
form
can't
an
connect
O
that
because of these
upstroke to
letters
the
up
D,
here.
so I started
go
my
up,
S,
Down,
and look at that. The
and
downstroke is connected there too. And
P.
then I finished
You're
it.
gonna start with a nice
That's
heavy
all there is
downstroke.
to it. So let me
Then
grab
you're going to
my
lift
other
back
piece
up,
of blank paper,
heavy on the
do a little
down,
shifting
and you
here.
can either connect it like that,
And
or
as you can
do
see,
what I
I've
do,
written the word
just
llama.
go down,
Because once again, I just wanted to
up,
exemplify
and loop it through,
that you don't
just
always
like we
have
did
to
with the
connect a word with a thin line
Q.
or the upstroke from the
It's
previous
just
letter.
the same thing,
You
but
can just
backwards.
connect that
Up,
upstroke to the downstroke of the
down,
next one.
up.
It's like the L.
Just
When
like
you
the
write
O
an L,
shape, just
your
like the G,
upstroke
just like
starts
the A,
up
just
here,
like the D.
right?
Are you seeing
so
a
it starts
pattern
like
here?
in the middle of your downstroke.
And then
Most people
you're just
don't
gonna
write
go
their
down,
L's all the way down there,
up,
right?
touch it, and
So,
release.
You're like,
R
how could I connect
is an
this
upstroke,
and another one
and then
of
slight more
those
pressure,
upstrokes
lift
there?
up again.
All you do,
and go
you
down.
just start your L
That's
over
how
again.
I personally do
They're
my
not going
R's,
to touch
but like with the
until you
Ks,
go down.
people do them different
That
ways. I've
downstroke
seen
is
where
the
they loop
main
it at the
bridge
top, so
between
they go
most words,
light up,
besides the upstroke
heavy
that finishes
down,
the letter.
up,
And that's all there
down
really
again.
is
That's
to it.
fine too.
So once again, with
or
the
with
A
an
here,
even bigger loop going
I started
up,
my A,
not
when I
really
got to
going
the
down,
downstroke,
and then pressing
boom,
it like that.
connects right onto
So
the
once
tail
again,
end
I
of
do
the
it
L.
that way, but a lot
Finish
of
my
people do
upstroke
it
for the
that
A,
way, and
connect it
less
to the
commonly,
M,
but
all
still
that.
seen
Once
that
again,
way.
finish the M,
So
start
it's
my
all
A,
personal preference.
connect it to the downstroke
Same thing
there.
with the S. You can do a
And
traditional
you're probably
cursive
wondering,
S where you go
well,
up,
if they don't connect, what am I supposed to
down,
do? Because I can't
and you
pick
do
up
it
my
out like
pen
that.
since you're doing cursive.
but I personally do mine
Wrong.
just like if I was writing
When
in
you're doing
print,
brush lettering,
I just go
you
up,
have to pick up your pen.
heavy on the
There's
down,
no way that you can get
and
these
loop it around
crisp,
like that.
clean
Or
lines
just like
and
with the
words
R,
and
I've
letters
seen some
without
people
picking
loop
up
it
your
at
pen.
the top
If I were to try to write,
and go.
if I
like
were to
that.
try to write
So once again,
the
I
word
do it
llama
like
without
that.
picking up my pen,
A lot of people like
this
do
is
it
what
like that,
happens.
and some people still do it like that. So notice
It
a pattern
just
here with the K,
becomes
the R, the S,
messy
even with your M's and your N's and your A's and your
difficult to
D's and
write.
all of these
and I
letters.
start to
It's
lose
just about
control.
personal preference.
Like my grip
and
has
once you get
completely
more
changed
familiar with
on my
the
pen
basics,
since I started
you
that
can
word to
start
how
to
I ended
develop
it.
your own style.
This I picked up my
So
pen.
moving right along,
This one I did not.
T.
Notice specifically with the
I
M
forgot the alphabet.
how much
there for a
harder it
second.
was to keep
You just
control
do a heavy
if I didn't
downstroke,
stop
lift it up,
and pick up my pen
and
in
cross it.
between.
or you
Sure,
can do
sometimes
like a lot
it's
of people
easier
did
to
with
write
basic
just
cursive in elementary school.
like that, but generally
upstroke,
it's not.
loop it
And
down,
that looks a lot cleaner. Look at the
lift,
end of it.
and cross.
This line is
You
much
can also
thicker
do your
because I
L's
started to lose
that
control.
way with like a.
So the most important thing
well,
to
no,
remember,
that's basically the
to
same thing.
maintain
Never.
control,
Anyways,
pick up your pen.
QRSTU.
All right?
Just like the M
So,
and the N, it's just one of those.
I don't
curve
really
shapes,
know
but
what else
backwards.
there is to say.
Heavy
So
on
I
the
suggest
down,
once again you
light on
pause
the
the
up,
video and just go take some
go back
time
down again.
practicing your letters
Okay.
and your
It's
words.
just like this loopy stuff that we were doing on our basic stroke sheets. So like I said, it's just all those basic strokes just connected and manipulated in different ways. So V, again, multiple ways to do it. You can make it super sharp like a print V by going heavy on the down, light on the up and leaving it as that. Or you can do a little bit of a curvier, looser one
where you go heavy on the down, light on the up, and then you loop it at the end. I personally like doing the loop at the end just because it's a lot easier to connect to other letters when you're writing words, which I'll get into in just a moment. But first, let's finish this alphabet. So, W, same as the V. You can do it super sharp like you would if you're printing it, just down, up, or you can make it looser by doing a nice curvy downstroke, up, down, once again with that nice little loop at the end. So like I said, those are very useful when trying to connect to other letters. So, X, probably the easiest letter you'll ever write besides O. You just do a downstroke and an upstroke. So you start, I guess, with a little mini upstroke, heavy on the down, back up, and then you just cross it. Y is just going to be like the G or the J. You just do down, up, down, and cross it. And finally, the letter Z. It is a little bit tricky, but if you know cursive, then you already know that. So you just do a nice little up, then you do down, then you can just pick it right back up from there, do another upstroke, another downstroke, and cross it. Or once again, with all these loops that people like to do, that I personally also like to do, you can lift, down, loop, down, and go like that. But for me, I feel like not looping your Z's is a lot cleaner and more refined. But again, as I've said over and over again, it all just comes down to personal preference.
Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed. I'm so sorry that I might have been rambling a little bit. My sick brain is kind of messing with me, but hopefully I got the point across clearly enough that you now feel confident to go and try some things on your own. And don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel, share it with your friends. I apologize, I'm new at this, but I am constantly working my best. I appreciate suggestions and comments, so make sure you leave some of those down below, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!